welcome to this edition of The Higher Estate. We are really lucky to have an amazing human here today, and I call him a human because he's beyond a person now. You know, people are assholes. I'll start with that. I'm not going to swear a lot today, Mom, I promise you. But humans, you know, you attain the level of human. It's like you're just a human in the world, you know, and that means we're all the same and we're all equal. And we have an amazing human here today. His name is Mark Winter, and he's going to talk to us about the Cannabis Relief Counsel, what he started. We're going to talk about his journey into the cannabis world. It's a little bit of a switch from where we've been in the last, the last couple of episodes, 3-4 episodes. We were talking about women in cannabis, and then we went into the community, and today we're going back to the patient, and we're going back to the advocate, and to the, you know, the I was say the nuts. No, what do you say?
That's at least a nickel. I think that's
right.
A nickel.
No,
Anybody
that's not
work with
word.
me?
I don't know. We're going back to the meat of what we do, and we're bridging those gaps. We're bridging the gap, and I know you talk about it as well, between the medical world and the lifestyle world. Just a couple housekeeping. I am horrible with words today, people. Couple house cleaning. If you're not a vacuum, come on over. I try. You know, I vacuum. I don't mind vacuuming. It's therapeutic a little bit. But anyways, I am sick again. I was healthy for maybe 2 weeks. And now I'm back onto being ill again. I don't know what it is. I feel like my immune system is shutting down on me, and I'm trying all things to get over it, but I don't know. It could just be the nights and the days and the days and the nights. So a couple housekeeping things. First, check out Cannabis Retreats. It's coming to Toronto, Hockley Valley, August 31st to September 4th. 5-day, all-inclusive. Check it out, Cannabis Retreats. It's going to be really awesome. You get care certified through it. I'll be there. Amy Anonymous is going to be there teaching the extractions. Tyler May is going to be there doing the growing parts. We've got great people. Abby Roach is going to be there as well. And we've got great sponsors, Tilray and Solus and Canopy, and it's going to be and we have and Molly is going to be there. They're, you know, doing meditation and cannabis and sexuality. There's going to be a lot of meditation, a lot of sitting in ceremony, but it's also going to be a lot of, you know, free time and learning about cannabis, and you're going to get care certified. It's going to be really awesome, and even if you don't come to the whole thing, there is a party day. Which
saw that on your post,
yeah. Well, there'll be one day that's just going to be a canna party, and it's going to be awesome. So check that out. Other housekeeping thingamabobbers. I don't know. I think that's it. I don't know. That's just the major issue. And excuse me for being sick again. I don't know. Oh, I came back from Florida. I got a new tattoo. Can we show that? Ouch. Oh, is that recording? Yeah. All right. Here, new tattoo. Right here. Okay, it's peeling right now. You know, we go to... Wow. Ooh, that's pretty cool. It's peeling, but anyway.
Do tell the...
So that's a sugar skull. I tend to go to Mexico quite often, and my wife and I both we tend to get... It's interesting. We get matching tattoos, always, cool. But nothing that ever has our names on it, so it can always be generic. You know, but it's like, hey, what's that? Yeah, they're matching. You may see 2 of them around the world, but anyways, yeah. So we go to Mexico a lot, and we have a lot of commemorative things that happen there. So that was our one of our little symbols towards our adventures. Anyway, so let's get started. Mark, I'm really excited to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on.
Les, and thank you so much for the opportunity, and Team SYS, thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
It's been inspiring. As I said to Tyler, when I think I first met you at a show, or at least I'm 99% sure, because I remember, it's just deja vu seeing it, but I was in such pain, I think about 2 years ago, when I was starting to go to the shows to get more information, to look at they're investing in the industry and how I can connect, learn, share, and educate and inspire, not only for myself, but also other people that I've helped along the way as an instructor and a wellness practitioner in a broad spectrum, just keeping that from a martial arts mindfulness. And I remember then when I joined you on Instagram and then met Tyler through a student, I'm like, I know the doctor, but I didn't have the energy to come and talk to you. I had a cane. I was in so much pain. Just walking to the show for anybody is challenging, but to do it with, I have hip impingement, which started about 3 years ago.
How did that happen? You've been doing. Well, let's go back. First, I love your socks. By the way.
Oh yeah, I think just in case I look too conservative, I was going to wear the suit and tie.
No, it's good. You look great.
I'm not as conservative as it seems to be.
Love those socks. No, but that's the key too. You know, it's so important to recognize that. Not to judge somebody based on their appearance. Yeah, certainly we all have, we all come into something, or we see somebody, we come in with our confirmation bias, right? And that's, the way that we've been brought up to see the world. And so I'll look at you and I'll be like, oh no, straight up, no, all this stuff. But then you get to know somebody, and I think that's the key, is getting to know somebody. So let's get to know you. Where'd you come from? Like, I'll tell you, you're north of Barrie.
Yeah, Horseshoe Valley. So I'm just outside Horseshoe Valley.
I grew up skiing Horseshoe.
Yeah, so we're between the two, Snow Valley and Horseshoe Valley. Two beautiful daughters, 17 and 23. Beautiful wife as well. We've lived up there for, 26 years. So it's just a good way to connect, enjoy, and also, I think, good education and good people as a general overview. Not to say there's not good people in downtown Toronto, but we wanted to raise two kids. We wanted to do it where we could go mountain biking, we could go snowshoeing, we could go cross-country skiing. We could do it all from our backyard.
That's amazing.
We're surrounded by the forestry. So as you can see by my posts, a lot of my teaching, my classes, I have a little home dojo in my house, but I teach a lot outside. We go out by the pond.
How long have you been in martial arts for, by the way?
I'm on my 37th year. So
and I saw you working with the nunchaka. You were doing like this. You were doing this whole thing, and you didn't hit yourself in the woo.
Thank goodness.
Or the head.
Thank
I remember
goodness.
when I used to try. Man, no good.
Well, it's funny you said that, because that's the first time I'd ever shown the nunchaka. Pretty much ever.
Really?
Because it's such a deadly weapon. It was a real nunchaka, so you get hit by it, it could seriously.
That'll crack something.
Yeah. And the speed which I'm going with it can be very dangerous. So I've only used it occasionally, but I was inspired that day because I wanted to share and try and change the stigma. So I thought, you know what, I've shown sticks, knives, bokken, different swords and weapons. I thought the nunchuck is something that you don't see very often.
No,
and
because it's hard to use.
Very much so. And you certainly don't see it in regards to a cannabis educator, somebody that wants to dispel the myths. So I don't like to show off in a sense of the negative part of the violent aspect of martial arts or the martial aspect, but it's more of the flow. I always say that pain is not a choice, suffering is. So through mindfulness, I've taught for many, many years how to reduce pain, whether it be mental, physical, or spiritual, emotional, through mindfulness. And that's where I felt like I was your brother right away, because I believe one of your key words is mindful consumption. And I'm like, holy moly, that is exactly what I've been...
Holy moly.
I didn't put it to words. What do I have to put?
No, moly isn't a bad word. That's good.
Thanks, Mom. Thank you. So I was so excited to be able to start to post and share, and it was so exciting when I did the previous post. I dropped the cane in the water. At the very last technique, it went whoop and into the water. My wife and students said, put it on. One of my top students, he's like, oh no, don't put it on. That shows you bad sense. It's funny. Right. I'm laughing. I think this is great. And maybe if it's somewhat negative or positive, if it gets somebody to move.
To move. Yes. Yes.
And this is something that I want to do. I don't care about embarrassing myself. My goodness, I'm a sales professional. If I worried about that, I wouldn't walk into the next appointment.
You know, it's interesting you talk about movement. I want to get back to how you came into the cannabis world, but let's just talk about this movement thing. And you come from traditional martial arts. It's like almost traditional karate is what it is.
Very much so. And I think you understand the difference. You spoke about Joe Rogan and Diaz, incredible athletes. And I respect people of that end of the martial arts world. Not to put it down or put myself down, but traditional martial arts, it was always very hard to come out of the closet because where's your discipline? Where's your...
That's right. I started off in Shotokan.
So you know, very traditional.
I started when I was 7 years old.
Oh my goodness, Okinawan, very traditional.
Okinawan martial
you wouldn't
arts
hear it.
or karate.
Yeah, you wouldn't hear a sensei come out and go,
No.
yes, I smoke medical cannabis, or
Right.
I use medical cannabis.
No, not at all.
I was always excited to be in the position I am now at 54 years young to say to people,
You
you
look
know
good.
what?
Your hair's on point.
Yes, sir. Well, I am Irish, so
It is.
another reason why I don't
looks
drink.
good.
Another reason
Listen,
why I don't drink. Look out!
I got right. I know. Fair enough. But I got my hair cut yesterday. You know,
Looking
It's
sharp,
on-
Doc.
it's on
Looking
point
sharp.
A little bit. Tyler liked it. It'll never be like where Tyler's.
No, he's got
hairline
it.
is.
I mean, we can all. Yeah,
No,
he's got a
too
head of
much.
hair.
I feel like I had too much when I was 15. I was super happy with it. You know what I mean? Now I'm stuck with like this hairline thing. I've always had this bald spot. Story about the bald spot when I was born. Hey, listen, you know that post that I said I broke my neck, my back, the whole thing? Okay, it started at birth for me. So I was born with a prolapsed cord, meaning the cord was wrapped around my neck and my head came out first. Or no, my legs came out first. So I was like being hung. And I was born with pneumonia and a collapsed lung. Yeah, I started from birth, man. There was no getting around this. So, but I was so fidgety, so I lived. You know, who was sure that was going to happen? At least from the stories I hear, I don't remember. You know, so from the stories I hear, they weren't certain what was going to happen. But either way, I was so hyper while in the crib and stuff, and I kept pulling out all the IVs, you know, whether it was my umbilical IV, at least this is what they tell me. They put the IV in my head and then strapped my arms down. For 2 months I was in an incubator.
And you were never the same.
And I was never the same. I blame the hypoxic brain injury on the ADD
So
today.
we must be brothers. I was in an incubator for a while in the
Really?
very beginning as well.
There you go.
And the fact that you talk about movement, again, it just there's so much synchronicity in what we both believe in, and as the team believes in, and that to me is exciting, because when I made that post about the cane going in the water, I
Yeah.
got the most response and the most comments that I've ever had, and of course one of the more exciting ones was yours to say how showing.
I love that.
By being human.
Yeah.
So I'm going to post a lot more of those because I do make a lot of mistakes, and that's why I've been, I think, proficient in what I do, because the more mistakes you make, if you're willing to learn from them and change your input, you're going to definitely get a different result.
We're human. I mean, anybody that, you know, so much, especially in the cannabis industry right now, where you see not just the stigma, you see the judgment, the all eyes on you every single day. It may not be on every person, but at least on yourself, on myself, every single day. And the slightest tiny mistake is going to be called out. And to me, it's an issue, because one, you have to have broad shoulders and not care so much. But two is, we're human. If anybody in any other part of the world, in any other industry makes a mistake, it doesn't really matter. Make a mistake in the cannabis industry, the game is over. It doesn't even matter how small it is. And that's the stigma. And I think that's one of the things we need to realize is we're all human here. Ain't nobody perfect. And if you're perfect, you know, remember I used to go to synagogue when back in the day. And, you know, one of the rabbis used to say, if the synagogue didn't let any sinners in, we'd have nobody here, right? So it would be empty, right? So like that's the human experience. So I appreciate that. What got you into cannabis? You've been into martial arts forever. When did you start using cannabis? Why did you start using cannabis?
Could we go to the dark where you can't see my face and I'll speak in a Hummer voice?
Okay, so we could skip the recreational part. When did you start using it for?
Well, I'll go
for
through the whole
lifestyle?
gauntlet.
Yeah,
I'm
I
here
wanna
to
hear.
So basically, with the hip impingement, which started about 3 years ago, I'm in sales management, so I drive a lot, obviously living in the country, coming into the city for a lot of my clients. Driving a lot, I noticed after some extreme driving, 2 8-hour stuck in traffic, I started getting some serious hip pain that just wouldn't go away. So from that, it just got so bad where I kept going to the doctor. Oh yeah, you're fine, you're healthy if you can do that type of stretching. Well, I'm training and stretching every day.
Can I pause you there
Please.
a second? Just when they say, here's another, I'm going to go bring it back again. And I bring this back to movement. We go to a doctor. I mean, I'm a doctor. I'm not trying to put anybody down. It's not just doctors, it's people. They say, you go to somebody and you be like, and they see how active you are. They say, well, if you can do that, you're fine. That people just don't understand. People deal with pain differently. But to reach your potential of what you could be doing versus how active you are is totally different, right?
100%.
So, like, excuse me. So for you, who otherwise would be running marathons, to see you working outside and doing some physical activity, not at that, optimal potential, somebody else would say, oh, well, that's not, that's, you're doing that, you're fine. It's like looking at somebody who has a heart rate of 55 and somebody who has a resting heart rate of 78. Your starting levels are different.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you. No, thank you for saying that, because that's exact, because I'm very vocal and I'm very good at asserting myself. And I really, really pushed my doctor of 27 years.
Yeah.
And I went to sports specialists, and all that just kept, if you can do that. I'm like, yeah, but I do center splits every day. Of course you're seeing my hips moving. But trust me, it's in a lot of pain. So it took about a year and a half I just thought it was in my head. They kept just saying this and that. So it finally got to a point where they did finally find it was hip impingement. I guess it's called F. There's a technical name for it. So basically hip impingement. So worse in my right, but it's also in my left. So by the time that happened, they thought I had sciatic nerve, piriformis muscle. Piriformis muscle. So they put me on everything from Lyrica to steroids and the doctor would say, Mark, I can't help you if you don't at least try these. I go, I don't do any drugs. Just give me medical cannabis. I'm sure it'll help me sleep, put on a little bit of weight. Let me get my appetite. Because at that point, I was 28 and a half pounds underweight.
Wow.
I'm pretty much about where I would normally be. I think about 155. 28 and a half pounds looked like I was
100 pounds.
Yeah. So once I went to the...
I would look normal.
Yeah, my doctor,
like
you got broad shoulders. You're a rugby player. Come
true.
on, he's a
look
rugby
like a
player.
beach whale right now.
So once I got to the cannabinoid clinic, Dr. Schechter, by the way, he says hello, knows you. He said,
I like Dr.
when I
Schechter
checked
a
up
lot.
on you before, he goes, just go on his podcast.
I actually sent my mother to see him.
Wow, yeah. So he's been great. He was the first doctor I saw many ones over the last 2.5 year period under his system, and started seeing results right away. And then once I got...
We started on Nabalone first. It didn't work.
It didn't work. It caused... Drowsiness, extreme bouts of drowsiness. And I didn't like the feeling. I could feel there was a synthetic...
Well, so it is synthetic, but it's not the synthetic. When we think about synthetics, you think about K2 spice, those kind of synthetic cannabinoids, bath salts. The bite your face off on the side of the street in Florida, guys. Those are cannabinoids. Those are synthetic. That's bath salts, actually, and those are CB1 agonists. The goal of that synthetic, of the bath salt, is for one purpose, and that's to agonize or cause an action at the CB1 receptor so much that it never lets go. It'll never let go of the receptor. Sort of in the same way that cyanide doesn't let go of, in cytochrome oxidase. Anyways, in that whole thing, and then you end up with, and then you die. The same sort of affinity that like cyanide has in our body is what a bath salt has to the CB1 receptor. It just agonizes it, and it just grows and grows, and you get higher and higher and higher. You become psychotic, and then you die. So technically you can die, but those are synthetic cannabinoids. Those are not the cannabinoids we're talking about.
Okay.
That is not even the synthetic cannabinoid of THC that we're talking about. That synthetic, like Nabalone, Nabalone is a synthetic cannabinoid, but it's a synthetic cannabinoid that imitates the actual herbal THC.
I see.
It's a synthetic herbal THC is what it is.
Right.
The problem is it's just solely THC. So it doesn't have any other, and it's not whole plant. There's no entourage effect. It's like an
spectrum.
isolate, and it has purely just THC in it. So it works well for some people, but it can cause drowsiness, certainly. I actually use it. We have it on formulary in the hospitals. I use it in the emergency department. Currently, it's on back order. You can't even get it anymore, which is kind of unfortunate. But yeah, it can cause drowsiness. So I use it only in like very specific circumstances, like the elderly, for example, who aren't going to vaporize or are in the hospital and they have dementia, and you need it for either behavioral modification, or they come in and they're on a ton of medications and I don't want to give them Dilaudid or Oxys or Percocet or all the stuff that people are asking for. And I say, just try this. And if it works, excellent. If it doesn't, well, it's going to go away in 4 hours, so you're going to be okay. Anyway, so that's what herbal can. That's what synthetic.
Right.
It is synthetic, but it's synthetic herbal THC. So it's not the bad stuff.
It's not the bad stuff.
No.
So I just found it was it was giving me the appetite, but I didn't like those bouts like around 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock, just feeling the way I was feeling, and also just not being in control of it. Where
100%.
It was just, I'd be at the client or doing a public speaking event, and all of a sudden I'd be like
like nodding off. Boom.
Very drowsy, and I'm in public speaking and motivation, sales manager during my day job. So you're constantly trying to project and inspire and motivate by creating an ambiance to allow motivation to take place.
By the way, we want to talk about these textiles. Look, he's all over that. We're developing a brand called Baby Elephant, which is a cultural brand of clothing and hemp-based products. But the clothing seems to be it's tricky. Man, we can't find anybody that can produce what we want. Textiles, that means
we're mainly drapery, bedding, and upholstering, but there is some crossover with some.
Anybody want to put a drape on you? We can turn it into a cape.
We can work something out.
Baby elephant capes. We can fly around. Superman, just get high first. No.
Nice, very nice bed sheets.
Do a baby elephant bed sheet.
I love it. I love it.
Actually, that would be kind of cool.
I think it's a good.
Well, there's ways to do it, because I know one customer who actually, they have a store here. Well, I won't mention names, but basically they developed a whole,
Socks.
So not socks, but a whole line
Apparel.
of cannabis cloth or cannabis cloth that they produce themselves, and
Hemp.
It'll sell.
Like hemp.
I'm not sure if it was hemp or just as much. It was just the logos and the branding,
okay.
right? Because it's obviously very big right now.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
want to make up clothing.
Everybody
with
wants to be an
the
expert.
cannabis leaves on it. Yeah,
For sure. Okay, so let's go back. We're talking. Hey, I'm the one staying on track today. This is a good thing. Thank you. I appreciate. I'm gonna
Take a bow. Take a bow.
I just don't want everything.
And
to
very
fall
little
down.
swearing. Thank you, Mom, to both
Yes,
moms.
That's right. My mom as well. Be really happy with that. So
then I got it with the doctor.
Forgot where we were.
Through the cannabis clinic. Then after
Right,
the Navajo,
yeah.
they started me on a low dose of THC, a small amount. I kept pushing at that time, not as knowledgeable as I am now. High THC. As I got to know more, I was always active and trying to access the CBD. So I done the research, and I said to the doctor, can we go out of province? At that time, 2 years ago, they didn't like you to go out of province. I said, there's a company, Aurora, they've got the highest CBD strain, and that's what the research is telling me I believe I can get the most benefit from. And then once they brought in the CBD oil, I started microdosing it back in December, because technically you can't drive on it. I was worried about how it would affect me the next day.
CBD, you're fine to drive as long as it doesn't have THC in it.
Well, because some of them has I think
They still have like 2 or
0.06.
yeah.
So I know it's mild. So I started microdosing with it over the holidays, and I started seeing the results.
Really.
Only 1 milliliter a day, the one vial or the
Yeah,
one.
1 ml,
I was
yeah.
I was training more. When I get the spikes of pain, it didn't last as long. It wasn't as severe. Hadn't used a cane since probably December. So when I walk at some of these trade shows where I go and visit clients, by the time I walk, half a kilometer, I was having some severe pain issues.
Really? And it's your
So-
femoral nerve. You have femoral nerve impingement? Is that what it is? Do you know? Something like that. Anyways.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
have to go through it, because
Yeah.
learning and researching is something I would love to talk to you about, and looking at how I can learn more, because they spend very little time with you. The last couple doctors were pretty good, but even then,
Who
when
spends little time? You haven't come to Synergy.
yes, well, this is it, because you're
spend
trying
we
you're trying to
spend,
grasp as you're what they're telling
hours
you.
with people.
Well, this is what I
People
hear.
get annoyed coming here because we spend too much time with them, and they're like,
Yeah.
I gotta go. We're like, no.
Well, it's all about education and empowerment. So yeah, that's
Agreed.
where I find with the CBD, it's been a game changer. My weight has just been creeping back up. I've been able to train a bit more harder. I'm actually going on mountain bike rides now.
Really?
Not up the mountain, but little hills, and just being more active, because as you said quite well, movement is the key. And I've always known that, but I never wanted to go against the doctor's orders, because at that time they're like, oh no, you should stop all the contact, you should stop this. And when I saw your post, I was so
You can swear.
I was so friggin' inspired.
Friggin' doesn't count.
Doesn't it?
They say, shit, fuck.
I was so inspired
in
because
for you.
I had no idea. You never know what
Right.
stories are behind. And I thought, wow, you know what? As I get to know you and develop and learn, this is where I want to start getting back into more of the activities. But even though I know when I do a little bit of kickboxing, as an example, even light bag work, the next day I'm in quite a bit of pain.
So the problem with, and it's not like you don't have a labral tear. You've had MRIs and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So the problem with femoral, like with nerve impingement, is that it gets caught around the bone, and the treatment it's very painful. Then they can't do, so there's no surgery, right? They're not going to release it or anything like that. Yeah, so activity for you can cause pain. The problem is you've got to get to the end point. The end point is the activity. And like I said in that post, and this is what I firmly believe, and we actually know it. If you, even in the updated pain guidelines, the true treatment of pain is activity. That's the number one therapy is activity, and they even put yoga in there. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have to be running. Runners tend to get these things. But normally, like martial artists end up with torn labrums, like in their hip. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be running, but it has to be something, mm-hmm. and it has to be dedicated physical activity. People come in and they say, I walk a lot during the day. That's not dedicated physical activity. That's your normal daily life. Yep. That's your daily task. That's not going to change how you feel. Physical activity that's dedicated for physical activity is going to change how you feel, but it's not right away. Mm-hmm. You know that, and that's mm-hmm. probably what brought you to cannabis. Or as you've sort of said, and cannabis isn't the answer. Cannabis just helps you get to the end point, which
Correct.
is functional outcome.
Yeah, part of the puzzle, yeah.
So what brought you to, so you go see Dr. Schechter, he starts you on Nabalone, doesn't really work out, but you come back and you start out with, medical cannabis. Yeah. This is your journey. This is good. People need to know about the journey.
And this is, I think, one of the funniest things I must say is, I'm right away like, high THC, because I thought, whatever I was smoking before would have been whatever percentage of THC, thinking that it was mostly the THC where I'm going to get the benefit. Now I'm at a point where I use basically mostly the oils, whether it be the CBD I use every day, and then indica at nighttime if I need a little extra for sleep. But since I've been on the CBD with the 1 milliliter, I very rarely do I even
1
need...
milliliter a day. That's it.
That's it.
All at one time.
No, I take like a little bit when I get home, and then about 2/3 before I go to bed or at nighttime, and then when I get home, maybe a third.
How much CBD is in that milliliter?
So that's 24%.
To like 0.7%.
And I think 1.2% or something, the THC.
Very minimal.
So you get in the full...
Which good, it potentiates. It helps.
Yeah, so you get in the full spectrum, and it's just been a game changer. So much that it's even cut down my vaping amount when I take a little bit for energy for working out, or a bit of motivation and pain, appetite, and then a little bit of indica before bed. That I've cut down quite a bit because of the CBD.
Really?
It's just been amazing. So I'm very, very excited about sharing that, because I think most people have no idea.
No.
And they think it's always THC.
Yeah, of
and
course.
now I just praise Dr. Schechter as well as yourself, because education is empowerment. You just need to know what is going to work for you. And I know every single person is different. And now I'm finding it the lowest THC, like a 12% with a nice CBD. I'll put the 24% CBD, and it's very, very effective. Less is definitely more. And when Dr. Schechter told me that, I'm like, yeah.
A lot of people come in and say, yeah.
It's amazing.
Even people that have been using cannabis their whole lives. There's some studies that talk about with opioids, you get this hyperanalgesic syndrome. So the more opioid or more narcotic you use, the more pain you're in. That's called hyperanalgesic syndrome. The same thing applies pretty much. It's like this bimodal distribution to when you're using cannabis. Low doses of cannabis seem to be helpful for pain, and are helpful for pain, but in high doses it can potentiate and potentially make pain worse. Now, it could be that when you come down, if maybe you feel the pain more intensely. But anyways, I totally agree. So what brought you to starting the Cannabis Relief Counsel, and what is it?
Well, Cannabis Relief Counsel is just trying to decide how to enter the industry, whether it be as an investor or as a speaker, as an educator. It's only until December that I've actually been in sort of the mental, physical health, where I now feel like I can start going to the conventions and start connecting and meeting people.
It was that bad? You couldn't walk?
It was challenged, yeah. Whereas if I'd go to the shows, but I wasn't able to connect and communicate effectively because my eyes would squint up and I would be just literally walking around with a cane. And when you're about 15 at that time, maybe 18 pounds underweight, it's still quite a bit of lack of weight for me.
Certainly.
So it really challenged me and be able to focus at that time. I think, I got to become a sales rep for an LP. But as I enter and start to learn more about the industry, and this is my first foray into it other than going to the conventions, and I'm glad I saved myself for you, because I had a couple opportunities to do other types of podcasts and it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
This, I was already a fan of yours anyway.
Thank
and
you.
then when I met Tyler,
that.
no, it's so important because, because of you, I've been going back to vaping. Because I didn't find a good response with the initial vape, probably because I didn't buy the good one 2 years ago. But now, because of your constant, when you're at the Canna Crawl retreat, and it sounded like it was torrential rain. And
it was torrential.
There were so many cool people there. I'm listening, and you're going, "Hey, I'm a doctor now. It's okay, I know, but vape,
I know.
vape." And I'm going, "That's it." And I said to my wife, I said, "Honey, you're hiding the vape in the drawer. Get the vape out." Why all of a sudden? I go, "Because I'm seeing Dr. Ira, for God's sake." So it's
good. Yay.
You never, I have a 17-year-old daughter. You always want someone to teach her how to drive because it's someone else telling you.
That's right.
And sometimes it just takes a little bit of knowledge to impact you in a substantial
100%.
way. So you've impacted me in quite a.
Thank you.
Oh, bless and the entire team, because it's had a great effect, enough for me to, change my schedule to be here during work hours. Sorry, my boss, my partner.
It's okay, he's not listening,
It's
or
all,
she's not listening.
It's all about learning and growing and giving back, and you've certainly given back to me in quite a substantial way, because when you're sitting at home alone at nighttime in pain, and you go to your Instagram account, there's so much on there. Melissa, bless you for all your work. That can inspire you, educate you at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Because you're getting empirical evidence from a source that's not Googled going, "Oh, okay, no, at the end they're trying to sell me weight loss. I don't need weight loss," right?
No, you don't. First I appreciate that. Thank you. And it's funny, I do my work at 1 a.m. That's when
That's
when
right.
I have time to do.
Yeah.
1 till usually 1 to 2, 1 to 3. You'll usually get my texts. She knows quite well. What are you doing right now? Awake. But I appreciate that. But I do think you said you were 54.
I'll be 55 in December.
Yeah. So you need to, and this is why these are the connections that I like to make, and I think that we need to make change in the world, because you look amazing for 54, turning 55.
Thank you so much.
There are so many people out there that don't realize that physical activity is what changes things. Like, you have to stay physically fit. You have to stay physically active. Even if you're fit, you just have to stay physically active. And if cannabis can help you do that, you're like a shining example of that.
Well, then let me be quite honest, and thank you so very much for that compliment. I've actually started probably since I was 17, smoking consistently.
Switched to vape recently. Thank you. Do that.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
The vape product will be coming out soon at 1-800. So I was surrounded by a lot of alcohol, seeing a lot of, back in that generation, everyone, dinner parties, your parents, everything was drinking and smoking. And I never really felt comfortable with it. So right away, I was sort of a hippie at that age, which was just at the end of the 60s, being born in 1963. And I've always felt guilty about it because
I was born in the wrong.
I put a belt on at 17 in martial arts, and I'm thinking, nobody here smokes. So I had to go in hiding in a sense, which is a shame because I wanted to educate people to don't
Right.
drink,
Yes.
don't smoke. Cannabis is not a bad product, but of course the stigma, the Cheech and Chong, and all the things that I was a part of as a youth put me in the closet.
Yeah.
And then
Stoner culture.
yeah, and I believed I was a pothead. And then as I got my
I
medical
just look at
cannabis,
Lucas.
which I was fighting with my 27-year-old doctor for many years, saying, "Doc, you know me. You say I have ADHD and all these. You want to put me on these different pills. I believe cannabis can have a major effect." And that's
What did
before-
he say? Or she?
She said, "Well, I can't. I'm, not able to do that." Then obviously everything had changed. When I was in that pain, it still didn't happen that quickly. And then bang, all of a sudden I was at Dr. Schechter's the next Monday. So things had changed. And that was just a little, almost 3 years ago.
Wow. You've been with Dr. Schechter since 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Just
wow.
at the end.
Good
So
for you.
it's changed my life, and it's something that the Cannabis Relief Counsel is about developing and defining my brand as an individual, as a patient.
Can I tell you what I think would be really freaking amazing? So you have a whole right, I didn't swear. I said freaking amazing. What I'd like to see, and what I'm a promoter of health and wellness all the time, but what I'd love to see is somebody taking control of the generation of 50 and above and helping them get physically active and being out there as a spokesperson for that whole generation. You're just sort of on the cusp of the baby boomer generation, just at the end of it.
Yeah.
And that generation was never, physical activity wasn't fully promoted. It was the end of wartime pretty much. It was,
Yeah.
Your parents, not you personally, but your parents just come out of wars. There was a lot, there was go work. Physical, we're super lucky to live in the time that we live in now, even though there's a lot of war and devastation in the world. We have a lot more knowledge than we did back then, and we have evidence-based medicine, and we have evidence-based solutions for a lot of things. And one of those things being physical activity. But we're in a time where you really have the ability, especially in social media like you're doing, to make that change and show people and really take sedentary people over the age of 50 and getting them physically active. I say this, and Mom, I hope you're not going to get pissed at me, but, and Dad, they try to be as physically active as possible, but they're just not. And how do you convince them? I'm related to them, so I can't convince them of anything. Doesn't matter. I can have MD all day in front of my name, but I'm always wrong. So, yeah, it's my mom. How can she's the doctor? I'm just, I think I got my doctor's credentials from her. So, but point being that we need somebody out there for that, to make change and empower people of that generation to become physically active. And if they can't because of pain, which a lot of people have over the age of 50, that cannabis is a good alternative to get them to the point of being active. It's not the answer. It's one of the means to get to the end, which is activity. And I think you would be great in if brand that. How do we brand that together?
That's exactly, and that is my focal point. And thank you for all the compliments and the opportunity to be here and discuss this, because that's exactly what, for 37 years, I used to say I've helped people live, trying to share what has worked for me, mind, body, and soul. So my goal was never to train martial artists or meditators. It was to empower people, to give them the color palette that they could paint using finger paint, or they could paint a Monet. The point is, let them, under their own guidance, under their own focus, get what they want out of life, but at least get them thinking about training mentally, physically. Every day I say you should be emptying your cup, mind, body, and soul. You don't take a teacup the next day and just add it. There's a little bit left over. You scrub it out. So this is where movement will help clear things out.
Empty the cup every day.
Empty the cup every
Wash
day.
it out
You
every
change your
night.
oil, you take better care of your car. So what I've always done is, no matter what, I will decompress my spine by stretching, a bit of yoga. I do mindfulness, even if it's only for 2 minutes.
What do you do for mindfulness? So what's a place to start? One is over 50. Where do they start? They're in pain. They don't know how to start.
Well, to me, in the post you did the other day was awesome, and I was going to say, well, wait till I come tomorrow and I'll give you some advice. But the bottom line is everything starts with a clean palette. So when you start with an idea, you start with an empty piece of paper and you go, okay, I want to plan my work and work my plan. So what meditation, or what I call it now, which is, people have been calling it forever, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. He wrote a book.
Incredible,
listen
right?
to
him all.
Yeah.
Eckhart
I mean,
all the time
Eckhart
on
Tolle,
YouTube.
he wrote a book, and about, I don't know, that's what I used to teach. Since 1999, I've
The
been
art
teaching.
of self.
So I've been teaching.
Flexibility.
Yeah, I've been teaching mindfulness seminars, and it was so cool because he just brought his out. Mine's self-published, but it was right up the same thing. The last part I say is live in the now, right? So live in the moment. Carpe diem, seize the day.
Not many people. I mean, I guess lots of people listen to Eckhart, but
yeah, but it's applying it.
that's
Carpe
amazing.
diem, seize the day. Carpe diem, seize the moment. So if you can seize the moment, which is where eventually I turn all these fancy.
I like Robin Williams.
Yeah, all these. Well, I was going to go. Good morning, Vietnam.
that was from,
Always
Dead
wanted
Poets
to do
Society.
that.
I'm like,
awesome.
Listen,
awesome.
I thought that was Robin Williams. And Dead Poets, didn't he? Carpe Diem.
Yeah,
I thought
that was
his line.
exactly.
Wasn't that him who wrote that?
Yeah.
Reminds me of a funny story. Can I tell you a funny
Please,
story?
please.
Okay. I don't know if I can even say it. All right, I'm going to say it anyway. It's really funny.
I'm going to get some quarters out for the
my-
swear jar. This is going to go
No,
bad.
there's no
Mom,
swearing.
hide. Mom.
So I'm out. and
Down payment.
We're out at my friend's cottage in Kelowna. And we're all a bunch of emerge docs, hugely scientific people. And by the way, my story has to do with me thinking that Carpe Diem, like it's an analogy of Carpe Diem, Robin Williams. Just think of those two things while I
Okay.
tell this story. So we're at this cottage, and we're like, and there's like a big yogi there, who's into Ayurvedic medicine and Deepak Chopra and the whole like to do, and of course, and like I love them all, of course, right? But anyways, it's funny. A whole bunch of scientists were out for dinner one night, and she starts talking, and but you're trying to convince a bunch of scientists that Ayurvedic medicine is real, and it's a whole to do.
Tough sell.
It's totally tough sell. And not only is it a tough sell, it's like, and this was before I was into the mindfulness thing, and whatever. But it's actually even before, it was just as I was starting to do cannabis. It's like 2010. And so we're sitting at dinner table and eating and whatever, and she's talking about Deepak Chopra and Ayurvedic medicine, and on the other end of the table, she's like, yeah, like Deepak Chopra and whatever, and my buddy on the other side of the table was like, I love Tupac Shakur, like it was like, yeah, man, I know Tupac, it was just the funniest thing. It was, you probably had to be there to see like this interaction. She's trying to talk about
That would be awesome.
Deepak Chopra, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm there. I'm with Tupac. It was just a funny moment. You had to be there. Sorry.
I love it. Let's fast forward to Dr. Ira taking his mom to see Deepak Chopra. Honey, why does Deepak have a grill?
Yeah. I thought you
I
said
think it's the
Tupac.
wrong
Right. That's funny. Anyway, it was a funny moment. We all had a good laugh. Okay. So
going back to
place to start.
Where the place to start is the clean slate. So
How do you get that?
Yeah, a lot of people, when I was in serious pain, I had an opportunity to teach at a wellness center in Barrie.
Okay.
I said, you can't even get up the stairs without a cane. I said, this is a perfect time to teach a wellness seminar, because if I can sit there for an hour,
I love it.
educate and inspire, I said, I hope I do get a really bad one where at that time, it would maybe last for 15 seconds and I wasn't as mindful. I was still grasping onto the old me. I would, it would really exaggerate itself.
Sure.
So when I shared it, I realized it was all about pain management, whether it be physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. Everything from yoga people to a OPP detective was there who had lost 100 pounds and his son hadn't, and it was inspiring to me. And I basically came down with keeping it very simple. So I said, we're not teaching meditation. I said, I'm teaching an exercise, and we're going to call it stillness. So an example, do you want to?
Yeah, I would love to try
this. I had this visualization of this would happen.
Everybody sitting down.
So imagine if you're listening to this or
Marissa,
you're watching this.
Lucas, somebody.
The main thing
he's
is,
getting
you've
high.
heard of the keep it simple. So I'm a very bad speller, or in my case, a good speller.
I'm a horrible
It's
speller.
keep it simple with one S. In other words, no negativity. It's not keep it simple, stupid like we
Gotcha.
grew up with.
I was like, are there two
KISS.
S's in
Yeah,
stupid? Did
yeah.
I miss this?
So let's just keep it simple with one S,
Sure.
stay positive.
Okay.
And what I derived when I was showing, I had people coming to me with cancer and severe pain and just a lot of stress.
Yep.
And I found up to that time when I used to teach a lot of variety of meditations, which we can get into if there's time. So I've studied a lot of variety of meditations for many, many years, over a 20-year period, going to a lot of different temples and different lineages and so on to really understand. And I realized that keeping it simple is better. So a quick idea is when we're sitting here, I want you to sit, if you're listening or watching, you want to sit and make sure your legs are flat. So you don't want to be up on an angle, nice and flat where you can set a book on there.
He's already sleeping over there. Tyler's already yawning.
Your back should be straight generally, or you can be a little bit, you don't want to be too relaxed, you want to be upright. But the main thing is to be comfortable. Take your right hand, put it over your left, and the main thing, the real key here is to be calm and relaxed. Use your thumbs as a checking point. If you're intense, like sometimes maybe if you're having a tough day, you realize to be more mindful. Sometimes you're too relaxed. If you have a piece of paper, it should be gently touching. So use that as a gauge. Now, for a second, imagine you're feeling your feet. Because up to now, you probably aren't thinking your feet. When's he going to start? When's he going to start the meditation? Your mind's about the future, not about the present.
So true.
So I want you to imagine you're either a mountain or a tree, and you're feeling connected to earth. Your roots are going into the ground. Now notice you're starting to be more mindful, away from my voice and away from this and away from that. Just being mindful. So now as you feel the roots going down, feel your feet, feel the connection to the floor. Checking your thumbs to make sure they're just gently touching. That is stillness. Now, there was probably about a millisecond there where you had incredible amount of nothingness. That nothingness is everything. So the excitement is not in necessarily the in-breath,
I forgot to breathe.
but it's in the middle of the next breath. So one of my instructors always says, pay attention not to the in-breath or the out-breath, but it's the space between the breaths, which is nothing. So the key is, without being attached to your breathing or to your proper meditation or the noises that are around us, just focusing on proper posture, your canary in the coal mine or your tool for gauging that you're mindful and aware, whether your eyes are closed if you're hyper, open if you're tired. Keeping it simple is the key. If you can do it for 2 minutes, you're a genius. And I mean 2 minutes of non-attachment, of just that neutrality, of omnipresence. Nothing. Very, very difficult. People say, I guess you're quite good after all this. I said, no, I have ADHD, I'm Irish, I'm hyper, I'm a doer. Meditation has been incredibly hard for me. The difference is, it's quality, not quantity. So I would always tell my students, forget all the fancy meditations. Just before you get out of the car every day, stop for 2 minutes before you get out and be mindful. But I'm in a rush and I'm late. I didn't say it was going to be easy. If you did that 4 times a day for those 2 minutes, just like they're saying, doctors tell you, 10 minutes of exercise in the morning, 10 minutes at nighttime, does have value. It's not negated.
30 minutes at one time, people.
Thank you very much.
Well,
So this is a way where hopefully you feel a little more calmer, a little more present, and less is more. So hopefully you find that quite helpful. The main thing to be is mindful. Mindful in your awareness, mindful in your actions when you're doing, some people use gardening as their meditation. So whatever can be to take you out, which is great, I hear that with your first post. I went back today, and the master grower, and he was saying how mindful it is as a healer, if you are home and you're not able to get out, how the plants will give you back.
That's
in
what the
regards.
plant does.
Yeah, and this is what excites me about your Cannabis retreat, because of just how much spirit and mindfulness as a holistic approach, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, ecologically, and all these wonderful things. And that's why I am excited about where and how I'm going to eventually monetize what I do, because you're right, people do need that inspiration and motivation, especially over 50. The average age, I think, at the Cannabis Expo, they said is 54 for the new consumer.
54-year-old female is our average age patient.
Yeah, I've helped a lot of people, but they don't have the time and the energy, the money and the support, especially in conservative areas. I helped one lady through my very devout, born-again Christian. I'm saying that because she's just one who I wouldn't normally think I could talk about cannabis advocacy and so on. She's the one actually who noticed when I came up the stairs at the dentist, she goes, "You're not even walking right, Mark. You're in serious pain." I go, "Oh, I'm getting older and I train too much." She goes, "That's not right. You shouldn't be." And she's the one, my dentist, so she's very aware.
I'll take a picture.
She sent me to a lady, 73 years old, double amputee. Nobody would give her the information and support.
Really?
Through a phone conversation, a little bit of compassion, a little bit of information, I was able to help her discover CBD to help her with some of her situations, anxiety and pain. And it worked. Problem is, to monetize that is the challenge. So eventually I will find a way to enter the industry as a spokesperson, as an educator, to hopefully empower, inspire, connect. And that's why I'm excited to be here, because you guys have all inspired me and helped me connect to my true self, as opposed to being connected to my pain body, which I was, 3 years ago.
Wow. First of all, I was like, I've never felt so calm. I don't ever get calm. So you don't know what you're going to do yet, but I do, because I've already brought you back in my mind to speak with Tyler, and we're going to hold seminars here that you're going to give. I've decided that, and we're going to promote it, because I've done, how many meditation classes have we all done? I don't know. I can't even I don't even know how many classes and all this stuff that I've sit on. And nobody's actually just told me that one simple thing. Put your right hand over your left hand and put your thumbs together, and that's your gauge. Like, I felt more, I got more instruction in 2 seconds than I've ever had, outside of doing yoga, of course, which is amazing. But in literal meditation, here are people talking to me, feel your body. Dude, you just gave me something that was so practical.
Thank you so much.
That actually made sense to me and that I can actually do. So we're going to bring you back. Tyler, we're like, this has to happen. Like seminars, the art of self-flexibility. Okay, I change it. It's no longer over 50, 40. I want in. Like, anybody can come, fine. But anybody can come. But we'll do a meditation. We'll do it out of Burlington. We have a studio in Burlington.
Love any and all opportunities. There's a couple other things, like another one that we'll get into next time. It's just, you've seen Tai Chi.
Yeah.
So one of the things I started teaching about 25 years ago, I was teaching outside of my martial arts club through, they brought a knife to a school. My next door neighbor was a school principal.
Yeah.
She goes, "Could you come to our school? We're in the middle of nowhere in Wyville." So I went there with my suit and tie, invited all the police, all the local churches, very, very small town north of Elmvale. Out of 170 kids, I had 65 show up at the United Church, who was offering me the space for free, or percentage of the thing. Did so well, had full classes, there was such a need. And again, I wasn't teaching martial arts as much as mindfulness. Get the kids moving and grooving to reduce bullying, reduce stress, to inspire them to get you off the couch. And a bunch of older people...
You're saving all my money today,
a bunch of older people came back and said, "Can you teach us some Tai Chi?" I go, "Well, I don't really know Tai Chi, but I do Qigong, which is sort of the healing aspects of it."
Awesome, yeah.
And that's when I started teaching just that one basic movement, which is basically raising up your hands and lowering. They say you do that in China, do 100 times a day, you live till you're 110 years old.
Wow.
Very, very simple, and I've taught it to my mom and a lot of older people, because as you get older, you start seeing people sort of
shuffle.
Yeah. This prevents that through balance, coordination, and stability, but also some minor strength. That's the physical.
You're bringing
So
this
it's things like that people can walk out of a class and benefit right there and there. Right then and there.
Mark, what I want to tell you is that we got to bring you back, and we're going to bring you back for a seminar on mindfulness. specifically around movement, specifically just around what you just did on meditation, and talking about and we'll do it as a medicated class for people so that if they're in pain they can move. We could talk about cannabis as well. I'm going to bring Tyler on. I really want to thank you for being here today. It was our pleasure, and it was my pleasure having you here. You're really a massive inspiration for a lot of people out there. You're 54. You look like you're not a day over 40. Fine. I have I'm all gray, anyways, whatever. But you look outstanding. I'm really happy you're able to tell us your story here, and and the cannabis industry is really like they're very lucky to have somebody like you in this world, and I'm sure you'll make a large impact on it as well. So thank you for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Doctor. My pleasure.
And we saved a lot of money on swearing, thankfully. And Mom, hopefully you're happy with that. And we drank our kombucha and we're happy. All right. Do you have anything you want to plug? Anybody, your Instagram, anything like that you want to talk about?
Well, certainly you can go to the Cannabis Relief Counsel. I'm pretty new to all the tech world, but I would assume you Google it would come up. And any input, inspiration, ideas, thoughts, obviously if any opportunity, but I'm really here to connect with this incredible team and to really start here as my focal point to enter the industry. So all the other offers are going to have to wait.
Yes.
For Dr. Ira Price.
We got him.
That's
we got
it.
him.
I'm here first.
Yes.
Plus he knows where I live. And
you may have a nunchaka, but I'm from America. I got an AK-47. No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. That was a total joke. No guns. And I'm not American.
Appreciate the opportunity, and just stay tuned also to there's obviously a lot more to come from Synergy Health. So I think that as you develop, I'm excited to actually hear more about the insurance.
Yeah. There's insurance
and how that
coming.
can help a lot more people through education and also support. Because I know
we have a
personally,
not-for-profit coming out.
It's been hard to go through the medical system because a lot of times you know people that I'm an instructor, so a lot of times people would just give you cannabis.
That's right.
Problem is though, I find it too strong.
Yeah.
I need that medical, and that's where I think I'm excited to learn more about how you're helping the people, not just from a community standpoint, but also potentially with empowerment, education, inspiration, i.e. like the insurance opportunity. So
it's going to be huge, and there's AHOC, the Alternative Health Association of Canada. It's a not-for-profit that's going to be associated with Synergy as well. And we've got all things going that are going to be great. Once again, everybody, thank you for listening. Check out cannabisretreats.com. I'll be giving the care certification at it. Shout out to Tintin. I told him I would shout out to him at Barber's Mark. Woo! Fatima, you screwed up my beard. All right. Thanks.
Thank you all.